like that's better if it doesn't fall. I was working on this all last night and I got pretty far with the black swan. I was really happy with it last night. And not to say that it looks not what I expected it to. I think I just realized in the daylight that some things on here should pop a little more. But I want to do the white backdrop on the swan first before I make any big color changes, because I think by surrounding it with the background color, its true background color, maybe gives the colors that it has a little bit more context. We'll see. Let's see if I can show you so far. Do you see what I mean? Like, it could pop a bit more. It is interesting doing the black swan as opposed to the white swan, because with the white swan everything came so easy. It was just all the colors were, it was just easy to mix colors for. Capturing that like floaty essence of it was so easy. It felt like it was being lifted right off the paper. I didn't have to do much for it. And the black swan, I think just because the nature of the color, you know, black, I have to like work to make things feel like they're moving. I didn't necessarily want this one to feel like the texture was a struggle or like it's really any less different than the white swan. It's just harder to make feathers feel like feathers, I think. I used to paint a lot in high school. I don't paint as much now. I don't paint at all now, let's put it that way. I've kind of been focused on other things. And it is fun. I forget how fun it fucking is to just mix colors and be like, wow, look at me, you know? When I was in high school, I did a bunch of like mostly realistic still life things with flowers, and I did this big painting of my hands, and that was very, very fun. But that is very different to what this recreation is. The swans are very, they're not swans, because you know how a lot of abstract art, you're like, that doesn't even look like an animal. It looks more like a shape than anything. But this is a very 2D capturing of the birds, I would say. But it does such a perfect job of capturing the feeling of the birds, that they're both like graceful creatures, but also birds of, they're kind of large birds, so they have a lot of muscle to like move and navigate. Where are my brushes? Where did I put my brushes? When I was sitting down here, I think I saw this painting, the Hilma Klint's swans, on Pinterest for the first time I've ever saw it was on Pinterest. Oh, I need a smaller brush. This feels like too big a brush. It just feels like there's a lot of, maybe she's working more with like the edge. Yeah, I'm incorporating a lot of water into the paint right now, just because the background is so translucent. The first time I saw this picture online, I was so in love. Really just needed to have it on my wall. But every print I've ever bought of a painting of anything really has always been so disappointing. And it's not like I'll buy more expensive prints because I just really want it to be nice and I want it to be something that I can really hang. But I've always been so disappointed by what I would get. And I did kind of want to have the same painted feel as the swans that Hilma has, but obviously like having a painting is kind of, having a painting recreation of it is kind of ridiculous and would be crazy expensive. So I thought maybe I could do it myself, and that's why we're here today. Not that I had a lot of confidence in my art skills. Again, it's been a long time since I've painted or really been in anything or like really had any practice in visual art. But I thought I might try. It won't be a T for T recreation, but I wanted to capture the very specific air of it. And it's not even like I have my own style of painting. Like I can't translate it into my own font of things because I'm also not that advanced to where I have a personal style in art at all. So I was just hoping for it to look good enough to hang, honestly. And I'm not mad at it so far. I had this bear picture hanging in my room for a really long time. I got him off of Facebook Marketplace and I thought he was so cute, you know. Just like this little pudgy looking bear. And I think he was from like IKEA originally because it gave that, you know. But everybody that saw him, that like came into my room and saw him, really freaking hated him. And I don't know why. I thought he was so adorable. But after some time, I was like, I really want to change up my space a little bit. And art supplies are so expensive. Canvas of the size that I wanted these swans to be on would just be quite a lot of money at the moment. In addition to like all the paint that I would buy. So I sacrificed him for a good cause. He's now reincarnated into something else, but I completely took apart the frame and the backing and made it into this. It was actually quite a process because it was like kind of a cheap frame and it just kept breaking on me and I got really fucking frustrated with it. So it's gluing in the background and I'm gonna like see how the glue set in like a couple days. And if it breaks again, I don't know. Maybe I just make my own frame out of like very cheap supplies or something. I don't know. But this canvas is not stretched. It's really just glued onto some cardboard, which is also really iffy. So I do need something to like mount it into. I don't know. Just kind of hoping it all works out. Whether it does or not, we'll find out. The white is so nice. I do think I have to go around the edges a bit with the smaller brush. I need some more white. And maybe a little bit more brown. I also have to let it dry. My girlfriend and best friend have gotten really into painting, but they're doing oil paints and tell me all the time like how inconvenient it is, I guess, to have to wait for the paint to dry between layers. And I forget also, acrylic, you have to kind of wait a little bit. You just can't go in because it does dry really fast, but things can still get really muddy if you don't allow it a little bit of time to sit. So I think I'm gonna clean up some of these edges and then maybe go in with a very thin second layer just to add a little bit more texture, because the way this one is drying down right now is very, very sheer, which is good. I prefer that than it being too thick. Maybe I can do a little bit of, oh, I don't like that. Oops. Okay. Don't like that one that much. I also feel like the wing should be a little bit more angled. Maybe if it comes down a little bit. That's something for later. Obviously, this is a recreation, right? Like, this imagery is nothing of my own making. I didn't come up with the shape or the color of the birds or the fact that they are a duo. I don't really come up with any of it. I didn't really come up with any of it. I'm kind of just following. But as I'm painting, I am, you know, this is my own painting. Like, the shape is, the details of it are how I want them to lie, and where the black feathers specifically meet the white is my decision. And it's not a lot of decisions, but it does affect the general air of the painting. So I do want to make sure that, like, I am looking at this source material, but that I am also looking at just my painting as it stands. So there are a couple things I do need to fix up with the feathers, specifically on the left wing. The way that it comes down, because right now it's giving turkey. I don't want it to give turkey. I want it to give swan. But it is giving mega turkey with the way that things are curving. I think it needs a little bit more of a point on, like, the lower wing. A little bit at least. I think his head's a little small. It's a little small for his body, because his body looks huge. But as a whole, that doesn't not work. I think I'm gonna fix the feathers and see how I feel about the white again. It definitely needs to be a more opaque white, so I think a next layer gonna really go in. Yeah. I have been really pushing to lean more into creative endeavors. I think that's very apparent with my channel as a whole, and maybe if you like know me, some of those conversations. But like, finding a way to live as a creative person, and not like in a way that's like, oh, finding how to survive as someone who enjoys the arts, but really finding a way to live in it daily and hopefully sustain my lifestyle with it, which isn't that like the age-old question, right? Like, how do I have a life in art that doesn't kill me before I even begin? I think that's with anybody who's artistic in the slightest. That's what we all want. But I think I'm really gonna try and pursue it in the best way that I know how, and I think it can happen. And I live in New York. I'm just gonna say, because it's actually not that hard to figure out, and it will be more apparent as the time passes. So I feel very, very fortunate that out of all places, it's most possible here, anywhere. Then there's a lot of things about the city. You decide how you feel about it by yourself, but I just love that, like, all the people who are in the artistic side of it really encourage each other to keep going, to dig deeper into whatever it is you want to do, never give up, like that kind of thing. And I find a lot of support in that. And also you just know that you're not alone. Everybody is trying to do the same thing, and I mean that in a way that doesn't come off as competition. Sometimes it sounds like that, but more so that like there is a lot of people doing or who feel the exact same way as you do, and it's easier to remind yourself then that it is normal. So that's what I love about it. I want to say the background is almost pinkish. Like the color underneath the white is almost a little pink beige-ish. Maybe that's more of the problem because the underlayer that I did was definitely more brown. So maybe this is the best that it's gonna get. But I'm happy with it. This has kind of made me get to thinking a little bit like, oh, maybe I should paint something else after this. Don't know what it would be, if it would be another recreation of something, or maybe I try a little original. But I have the supplies now. I'm kind of thinking something with a very red background, very bright, fiery, almost orangish, even background. And I like these big brushes, so something with that. And maybe a little less texture than this, but something that still feels like movement. Don't know what this is or would turn out to be, but thinking about it. I have a lot of other things that I want to do though before it. Been getting a lot of content about paper mache masks, and I've actually really wanted to do that one for a very long time. I love creepy fucking masks, but not even creepy, like they're just a little off, eerie. They don't look like it's a creature or entity that's gonna harm you, but you don't necessarily trust it outright. Like I want to make something that has a face like that. And I have a lot of like old newspapers, so I'm thinking that's my next project, because then afterwards I start my jewelry classes, and then I'll kind of be in that for a little bit, a lot of it. So this is where we are currently. The black swan is getting there. I think the white background is kind of exactly where I want it. You see how you can see the brown underlayer coming out, but the feathers of this need to pop a little bit more. Maybe some highlights or make some of the blacks a little deeper. We'll see. And then obviously there's more to do. So it's gonna take me at least another week before I can frame it and then hang it above my bed. I'll get to a grand reveal, don't worry, but it's probably gonna come in like a part 2. So we'll see. Until then, that's all I got.